Oh, good evening. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 3 of Up in the Air Live. I'm your host, Original Dobo, and let's get right into it. We are live for episode 3, and tonight we have a special guest with us. He's going to be joining us here right around 8:05. Bill, the drone reviewer, is going to be taking part in the show tonight, so that'll be pretty cool. So it's been a interesting week. New week. Today's Monday, so it's a new week. So we'll see how interesting this week is. But we have a couple of things to talk about this evening, and Bill's going to join us here momentarily. We're just waiting for him to connect to the Hangouts. I hope everybody's had a good Monday. I know I had a particularly okay Monday. It was sort of blah. It's really bad weather. We're getting hammered with terrible winds, terrible rain, and tomorrow we are expecting hail, so that'll be fun. Definitely not flying weather. And let's see, how can we make somebody a moderator in this chat? Can I make Bill a moderator? Yeah, let's make Bill a moderator. There we go. Because I have a feeling we will probably need a moderator in the chat later this evening, if my suspicions are correct. So, all right. Well, it's been a sort of a slow week. We've got a couple of videos that went out earlier this week. I did a little bit of flying. I got a chance to check out the Mavic Air, which has been cool. I actually am standard sensor versus, there's always one guy in there. Got a chance to fly the Mavic Air, which I was really hypocritical about because I thought it was like a little, I don't know, cheap when it first came out. I still think it feels really cheap. But hey, what's going on, Chantel? I bet it's cold in Quebec. I still feel like the Mavic Air is a cheap feeling drone. Like in comparison, it's funny. Like I hold my Spark and I hold the Mavic Air, and I feel like the Spark just feels like a little bit more substantial, a little bit more durable. I don't know why. I think maybe it's the material that they use or like the texture. But yeah, it was weird. I had that comparison. The other thing that really sucks about the Mavic Air is the props, like the way they fold in. If you're not careful with what you fold in first, you can bend the props. Like literally before I even folded it, like I unfolded everything, I folded it back. I guess I bent the prop. So I went to go take off and the air just flipped over, head over heels. It was just not good. Thank God it was on the grass because it would have really sucked. It would have scratched the whole top. And the other thing is the threshold and the clearance on the top of this. It's if you bend the prop and it starts to spin, it'll cut the top. So a lot of things I found out with the Mavic Air this week. And yeah, so we're going to talk about Autel. I'm getting to the point where I'm like tired of talking about Autel until something else happens. I've asked for information from them. I'm still waiting. Yep. Actually, I'm paying $7, a policy for $14 per year. Wow. Okay, that's interesting because I got my policy. I paid $75, which insures my Phantom 4 Pro for the full amount. It was like $75. See, mine's personal property, and they may have changed it. If they changed it, I wonder if they would credit me back any money for whatever already paid. I mean. But then again, I would love to know like what the difference is between the drone policy. Anytime they make something specific, I'm always like, well, what's in it for them, or what are they stating that they need if they don't cover it? Right now, if my drone smashes into a lake or disappears, gets stolen, it's going to get replaced with personal property, and like there's no caveat to that. I don't have to send any flight logs or anything to them. So my thing would be, are they going to need to see flight logs? Are they going to do any research? I mean, because obviously they want to make sure there's no scams or insurance fraud. I mean, that's a big thing in this world. So I would love to know like what they changed rules wise. So that'd be interesting to see. So Evo does look nice. Yeah, the Evo, it does. But it's funny when you stack the specs up, like you compare it to, let's say, the Mavic Air side by side, it gets harder to really differentiate like which one you should choose. Like obviously I felt both of them in hand. I will tell you that the Autel is 100 times more better quality, like as far as the way it feels. It just feels more substantial in your hand, and it feels not like a toy. I felt like the Air is very much feeling like a toy for some reason, more so than the Spark. Like I feel like the Spark should feel like a toy, but the Air felt like a toy, which I thought was interesting. And I cannot stand legs that fold out from underneath. My natural reaction is to pull it open, almost like I'm breaking into a turkey leg, and I swear I'm going to snap a leg off. One of these days, you're going to see me walking around with one arm of a Mavic, and it's because I pulled it open. So let's see, what time is it? 8:05. We should be expecting Bill here momentarily, right? Maybe he's trying. Oh, there he is. Bill. Hey, how's it going? Bill, the drone reviewer.
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. This is first time we've actually got to talk, face to face.
Absolutely.
So
this is cool.
Yeah, no, it is. I like doing the streams because, you don't have to edit any video. You can have a conversation, hang out, chat. It's nice. I think Bill Thomas, he sort of turned me on to the whole stream aspect of things. I never did it until he invited me on the show. So good to have you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So Bill, why don't you tell everybody, for the people who don't know who Bill the Drone Review is, Bill, tell them a little bit about your channel and what you do over there.
Sure thing. I got started last May. Originally, I bought my first drone back in December 2016. It was an Autel Evo Premium. And I upgraded to Mavic Pro in February. I had some friends suggested that I do that, and I was just unbelievably impressed. Around the May timeframe, got the idea to get a channel together. And the reason I decided to get a channel together was I liked a lot of these reviews, but I was seeing that these reviews were 15, 20, 30 minutes long. And I would have to, go through them to find, what I needed to find. They're good videos from some of the good guys out there, but it was too much. So when I got the idea, I said, I want to do videos that are short, succinct, sweet, to the point, not pull any punches, no fluff, no extra stuff. And that's how I got started. And I've enjoyed it ever since. And it's also a partnership too with my wife. She actually does a lot of the photography when we're outside on shoots. So that really helps me a lot because a lot of times when you're doing it as well, you take a tripod out there and it's doing it for you, but she's been out there helping me, and that's been fantastic.
So let me get this straight. You started your channel in May of last year, basically, right?
Correct.
That's when it took off. Okay. So May of last year, and if I'm not mistaken, you just now crossed 2,000 subscribers.
Yes, that's correct. I just crossed that threshold.
So, and that's a whole nother interesting aspect too, is because a lot of times now on YouTube, obviously we've had the adpocalypse, and they've changed the rules several times. And I find it interesting because, it's like, we see so many people crying that they can't do it. They can't meet the watch time. They can't meet the subscriber counts. But here I see a guy like you who's using his smartphone, using basically whatever he has to do, and just had a game plan. Because I look through your videos, and what I find interesting is it's a whole very well articulated plan. You have a Patreon account, it looks like. You have your social media there, your affiliate links. It's just very well thought out. And what it's interesting is it's consistent. Every video is always the same tactic, same level of consistency.
Well, one of the things that I did when I get into something, I go in with it with both feet. I don't go 50%. And I did a lot of research. And one of the guys I really followed a lot with YouTube is Sean Cannell. I don't know if you've heard of him or not.
Yeah, Sean Cannell. I'm familiar with him.
Yeah, and that I watched a lot of what he had to do. I watched his masterclass, and it really made a big difference for me. I watched a little bit of Daryl Eves as well.
Yeah, Daryl's good. I like Roberto Blake myself.
Yeah.
And I've
watched Roberto as well too. And I kind of culled all this stuff together and put it together. For example, Sean Cannell pointed me in the direction of Canva, and that's where I do my thumbnails.
Okay.
It's very easy to use, and I think they come out great. They look very professional that way. In my intro, I kind of based my intro on what he did, and then you have a bumper in the front, and then you go into it. And he also says, make sure you use what YouTube gives you. For example, at the end, make sure you put a couple of videos out there, subscriber button, use your cards to intersperse through the
Right. And
video.
those are all powerful tools to
Oh,
work
yeah.
on. So yeah, and I think that's great. So congratulations on the 2,000 subscribers. I think that's absolutely awesome. To get there and to get there, rather quickly. It's huge. It's not like a lot of people are like, that's nothing. Nowadays it's hard. It's really hard to even get there. So that's absolutely awesome.
And most of these guys are fantastic. The comments that I get, I would say 90% of them, these guys are absolutely fantastic. They know, they appreciate good content. And that's why, that's what drives me to do it, because I've seen some content out there that makes me scratch my head. I won't name this guy, but I don't know if you've seen the video where this guy shuts off a Mavic Pro at 400 feet and lets it free fall and then restarts it before it hits the ground.
I can't say that I've seen that, but I would probably punch him in the face.
Yeah, he had probably one of the most lengthy comment columns I've seen on YouTube.
That's just like so reckless on so many levels, but yeah, that's I have not seen that.
Yeah, he was that left a lot to be desired. And when I see stuff like that, I call it out. That's just, and one of the other things that I do, and it's not as popular, and I think Billy's done it too, is he talks about some of the things that aren't I'll call sexy topics, like drone insurance.
Sure. Or, it's got to be talked about, and people obviously don't think of it. And it's funny of that you speak of that is I watched Billy's video. I go on vacation, and I crashed my drone into a lake, and it's like I probably should have paid closer attention to that video.
Yeah, talking about, I just did one on the FAA UAS symposium they had in Baltimore, and they talked about a couple of key things. They talked beyond visual line of sight, and they also talked about the LAANC in automating the waiver process for flying by airports. This is important stuff, and
it absolutely is.
A lot of people just kind of blow by that. Same with. In these videos, I tend not to get a lot of views on them, but I think they're still important to do. And I know, and one of the other things that kind of bugs me too is people about the Part 107. I took that last year. I passed it. I even forget who I used to learn it from, but their practice test was nothing like what I actually took.
Okay, so you're seeing a variance in the actual test versus the practice test.
Oh yeah, with this one. So I'm gonna sign up with Remote Pilot 101. Their practice tests were pretty much spot on. When I went out, I took it out at Lakeland Linder Airport. I'm sure
that was literally right. That was part of the reason why I couldn't, when I lived in Lakeland, I couldn't fly, because I was within like 2 miles.
Yeah,
it just wasn't happening.
Yeah, and I had thought about, I work in Lakeland, and I had thought about taking my drone, taking it up at lunchtime, going down by Lake Mirror or something, but I can't, because I'm within, I'm right by the airport. I can't do that.
Yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking. You're actually right on top of the airport where you are.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that's yeah. I want to get the 107. I have a problem with the FAA and the 107. I think, there needs to be something amended at some point, especially when it comes down to like YouTube. And I see a lot of people, they play on that, and they basically, they really cater to the FAA and say, really play it up and say, how you have to have it. If you're on YouTube, you're making videos and you're monetizing. I think there's a really indirect gray area. And, for lack of better words, the FAA needs to start, either one, verifying the people who are on YouTube creating, showing drones or UAVs in a positive manner, and, endorse them. Endorse the people who
I agree.
Bring out the positive aspects. Don't go after them. Obviously there's some reckless individuals out there, like the guy you were talking about. That's reckless. But endorse the people who are like promoting the community, who are, telling people, hey, go out, get a drone. That's $5 every time somebody has to register a drone just as a hobbyist.
Yeah,
That's $5.
I was looking at the statistics they had from the UAS convention. I think they said there's 10 more times registered drones than there are private planes in the United States.
Right.
I
And
mean,
they were talking about the air traffic's going to be insane in, what is it, 2020 with drones.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think, you know, the reason I got my Part 107 is I'd eventually like to do some commercial photography.
Oh, no doubt, that would be awesome.
I looked at doing some roofing inspections. There was a guy who got me hooked onto that, but that never materialized. But eventually, you know, if something comes about like that, I definitely I want to do that. And you know, I think that's a good way of earning some extra income, and that's something you can do part time. You can, you know, you have your full-time job, I have mine, and, you know, weekends, evenings, you know, whenever it's available to be able to do something like that. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, because I mean, people, you know, a lot of things that people don't remember is, you know, YouTube is not our jobs. I mean, we have very similar careers, and we're not here full time. I mean, it's great if you can make this full time, but then there's always that aspect of, I get bored sometimes creating the same videos and uploading. I mean, it just happens. You get burnt out.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it would be absolutely awesome to, you know, get the ability to do commercial, but like, just specifically speaking for any YouTube or hobbyist that is uploading their videos and can monetize, you know, I think it's wrong, like, to do that. And I think, you know, for me, any YouTuber who is like actively going out of their way to say otherwise, I think if they had it any other way, they probably wouldn't have the 107, or if they do or don't. I mean, it's really one of these things. It's like, it's he said, she said sometimes when it comes to YouTube. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I can go on a rant. You know, one specific YouTuber comes to mind. Big fan of Plaid. I won't go there, but
yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
So, anyways, but I digress. So let's talk about what everybody probably wants to hear. So you and I both had a very similar experience this week, and it was funny. I was traveling, and I was up. Well, there's two occurrences actually. I was up stupid late, 3 in the morning. I got the leaks for, let's say, the supposed Phantom 5 camera, which at this point I don't even know how factual that is.
Yeah.
And then you got the same thing, and we thought we were, you know, we were doing something right, putting it out there, because not everybody has Twitter. I don't think people understand like the reason why leak videos happen. We put out videos like this and talk about these things that are being shown off because not everybody uses Twitter.
Right.
YouTube is accessible. Anybody can go on and watch a YouTube video, and you don't have to have an account. But not everybody has Twitter.
Exactly.
So we put it out there, or maybe not everybody knows who we're talking about. It's almost like right now I sort of want to refer to him as Voldemort. I really do. I don't even want to say his name, but
yeah.
So you had that happen, and then we really got it on Friday, man.
Yeah, that was that. You know, the storm hit, and when the storm hit, it was pretty big, and you know, the backlash from that. When I did my, you know, I got up early Saturday morning to do my We Were Duped video, and I was so tired. I was more tired than sad, but it appeared everybody, you should have seen the comments. Everybody's like, Bill, you're so sad. Everything's okay. Don't worry, kind of thing. But I don't know if you've seen that. I got over 4,000 views on that video.
You know, it's one of those things where I was like, you know, I usually about 11 o'clock or so, my phone goes into do not disturb. Maybe it's at 10 o'clock. So it goes in do not disturb. And I leave it there. So I didn't see these notifications. And I don't know why. It's a Saturday morning. I never wake up early. I happen to roll over and I knock my phone off the charger, and it hits the floor, and I see all these videos, and I see you're like, hey, did you see this? And when I open it up, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like rubbing. I don't even have coffee. I'm out of coffee. I'm like running to my office. I'm right away reading all the comments and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh. What? I was just like in disbelief. But then I was like, you know what? No problem. No problem. We're just going to, well, you know, we apologize. I mean, misinformation happens all the time. If the weatherman can get paid to be wrong, you know, we're not getting paid. So obviously, you know, we're going off of what we've shown, and you fall into that hype. And I'm sorry, but the photo he put out there was intentionally misleading, was
Yeah.
intentionally
Oh, yeah.
photoshopped. And that's why I looked at it, and I looked at the resolution. I was trying to pull data, and everything that it pointed to was that this was a screen grab. And I was right as far as that goes. It was a screen grab.
Yeah.
And he downsized the resolution intentionally, you know.
I've got three theories about all this that I was kind of waiting to go over this with you. You know, I was like you. I was pissed. I was angry. You know, I blasted OV back on Twitter. You know, and I kind of told him, I said, you put the bait out there for us. And then his reply back, I never told you it was the Mavic Pro 2. And, you know, I'm like, come on. I mean, you have a feeding frenzy of hundreds of thousands of people who are anxious for any tidbit of news of that. And that's exactly what it was. So here are my three theories. And I wanted to
go ahead.
Run this by you. The first one, as you said, he was trolling us, pure and simple. Just nothing about that. Just absolutely face value. He did it on purpose. He got his jollies out of it. He got attention out of it, and I think attention in the wrong way. The second one was in what I had to do was I went back and I read the tweet from Melody_418, the one who put the full picture out. And just from reading that, and you know, and my wife, you know, I was bouncing things off of her too, and she's kind of thinking that maybe those two got together to do this, to get him some more, to hype him up a little bit, to get him some more attention.
It's one of those things is if you don't have something, don't say something. You don't have to put something out. I think he forgets, like, you know, I watch, like, you know, I don't know. I look at like Evan Blass, which he's a mobile phone leaker. He comes to town with, you know, major smartphone leaks, and he puts out some great leaks. I mean, he ruins events for smartphone manufacturers. I mean, hands down, steals their thunder and has no qualm about it. But this guy, you know, he never, granted, he never did create, like, he was a leaker, you know, he never came out and said that, or, you know, that's not even, I guess that's not even a job. Can you really say that? I don't know. Yeah. But, you know, it was intentionally misleading. But here's what I would like to say to any of the internet. Don't harass him. If he blocked you, he blocked you, but don't harass him. Don't become an internet bully. There's enough of bullies out there. He did something stupid. Am I mad I had to make a video? Yeah, I'm mad I had to do that. It's annoying, but don't harass him. That's it. You know, don't give him attention. Unfollow him if you have to, but don't just be the bigger person. We have enough of bullies in this world. We don't need any more. Don't succumb to his game. I think it was dirty, but you know what? He got out it, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still follow him, and I'm just looking at some of his tweets, and
he seems like a sad person.
He really does. You know, and I put, you know, I don't know if you saw my video. I did one, the man, the myth, the legend, OV. And he talked about, he had one girlfriend who ended up getting married. He's 30 years old. He's single. I mean, and he put out a lot of sketches of girls. He
did. It got a little bit, I don't know, Hannibal Lecter there for a moment.
Yeah.
I had to turn the other cheek. And then I'm going to go here because this annoyed me the most of all. We were both wrong, but I don't need to be attacked by any other creator. And I feel like, okay, yeah, droning on, he was correct, you know, in the speculation, but I can be correct in a lot of things too. We all make, you know, mistakes, big deal. Let it go, move on, dude. You don't need to comment, harass. I don't care if you were right. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I ended up having to block him on both.
I contemplated it, but then I feel sorry for the guy. Because I don't know. I just feel like, you know, he's got like 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw
6,000 subscribers. But then when I look at his like views, it's only like 600,000 views or something. It's just weird. It's just weird. So I don't know.
The math is not right.
The math doesn't add up. So I don't know. I let it go, you know, whatever, you know, but I just chop it up to that whole thing.
You know, as far as he's concerned, for me was, you know, the thing that he wants more than anything, he wants to get a rise out of us. He wants us, you know, he wants to combat us. And I said, you know what? I'm not playing your game. So that's why I said I'm done.
Yeah, I'll listen to him. He doesn't bother me because I sit there and I look and I'm like, I know the deal here now. It's like I look at what what he's doing, and it's just like, all right, whatever. You're right, cool, whatever. Put the mark, the little notch in your board and move on, dude. But
Yeah. Well, and and I'll tell you what, and I don't know if you saw this or not, but I went back and looked at some of his history. He talked about, and I don't know if you remember, they had Billy Kyle put out a video about it too. They had an FCC approval for the Mavic Pro Standard, or MPS. Do you remember that last year?
I don't think I don't think I recall that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was pretty brief, but he actually talked about it on Droning On. And and then he's just completely went off on his tangent with me and stuff. And I said, look, I said, you know what? I'm not the only one. All right, there were many of us that were led astray by this. Let's move on.
Yeah, but it's like I never try to attack people. Like I never attack people, like because nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So it is what it is. But enough of the YouTube drama. So I got to ask you. So you were an X-Star pilot. I had an X-Star too. That was like my first drone after I moved over from the Phantom 4, and I played around with it all. And I loved my X-Star, but I became increasingly frustrated with it when the updates weren't happening.
Yeah.
And do you want some cheese? Don't know who Good Boy is. I'm sort of I'm trying to read the chat, but I don't know if it doesn't stand out, it passes through. But so X-Star, that was a great drone. I installed the beta version for a little bit on mine, and it got better, and a lot of like the quirks started working itself out, and I felt like, oh man, this is going to be great. Then Autel just goes dark with it. It's not on Amazon. It can't be bought anywhere. It's out of stock. So, I felt sort of at that point jaded in a sense. I even made a video at one point just to say, hey, is Autel still in the drone business? What are they doing? And, and then CES comes around and bam, we have the Evo announcement. What do you think of the Evo?
Well, and this is real interesting because I had a little live chat today for about a half hour with several of the guys on my channel, and Rick Smith from Drone Valley, he put out a video today. And,
okay. I saw that.
Yeah. And I heard him talk before about that. He said Autel will be mistaken if they put out the Evo with anything less than a 1-inch sensor.
I'm going to disagree with Rick on that, just simply because if you went to anyone that's not in the drone community and you said, hey, do you know who Autel is? They're going to look at you and be like, who? Now, if you said DJI, they're going to know who DJI is. Autel doesn't have to compete against DJI, and I think that's where people are mistaken. They don't have to compete against the DJI. They're not even in the same park. They just need to get started. They need to get anything out there.
And as I told one of my friends, the friend who actually convinced me to get the Mavic Pro, and he knew my trials and tribulations with the X-Star, and he said, Bill, he says, you're not going to have that with that. I said, your customer service, won't be as good, but understand something. You'll get your software updates, good, bad, or indifferent. They'll come. And and with the X-Star, Autel does a lot of things right. And the one thing that I tell a lot of people is I think their strong point is their hardware. They put together a very solid machine. The Orange Pumpkin for me, I had several rough landings, not even a scratch. The camera was in and out of alignment. I mean, I had absolutely no issues with that. And, how well it was built and the case that it came with. I think we talked about that before. I was just so impressed with that case. I mean, it was just, Autel does a lot of things right. And I'm hoping, and I think I mentioned it to you before, I'm hoping with the Evo that they get the software act together. I know they're not as big as DJI, but they get their software act together. DJI is gonna have their hands full.
And that's one of the interesting things with the Autel. DJI is very iOS favorable, I think. So this was the first drone I ever had, like with the X-Star, that it worked better on Android than it worked on iOS. I've never had that before. But when I was at the event, I asked specifically, I said, you know, I see you guys testing this on Android. Where's the iOS? Totally passed the question. Totally passed the question.
Okay.
So I was sort of like, okay, you know, and I understand that it is a little bit harder to roll out iOS beta tests. I mean, there is flight plan and things like that to load it on. So whether or not they just, you know, these guys that were at the event didn't have iPhones or not, I don't know. I mean, that could have been why that was passed over. But if you look at this video here, let's see if I can bring this up on the screen. I've got some footage here. I've got a bunch of footage I haven't released because I just don't know how to put it out there. There was a lot of conversations that were taking place during the event that I guess, you know, probably should be censored, but I just don't know how to put it out there in an equivocal manner here. So I'll just show you here. So this is the LG G6. Let me see if I can lower the volume here. But that's an LG G6 that they're using. It's probably coming across pretty blotchy, but the software is very much unfinished on this application. But what I like about the app is that it's adaptive. It means it learns how you use it, and it's going to push a lot of information up front to you. So like all your most commonly used features, whether it be log, if it knows that you use a certain auto white balance or a certain setting most frequently, it's going to push all that up front. Now, the application on the controller will actually take on all the telemetry data and actually open your phone up to like a full screen, which I thought is cool because they're not duplicating any of the information, which is interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
But the application is very much unfinished. There's a lot of things that they wouldn't click on just because it's not done. But again, that's just what they had here. I don't know what their progress is right now. It could be well further advanced than it is right now. But it is an interesting application.
You know, I don't know if you know, but you know, I tend to poke around on the FCC's website quite a bit.
Sure.
They did have, there is an owner's manual out there for it, and also their FCC application is out there as well. You know, so those are some things. You know, as I tell people, you know, it's a sign in the right direction. You know, and I got a video coming out tonight about the. I found one today. I'm going to get it out there tonight. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but there, and I strongly feel that we're going to see something come out at NAB 2018 over in Vegas, but it's going to be along the lines of, remember the Phantom 4 Pro Obsidian, the Mavic Pro Platinum kind of thing.
Sure,
it's going to be an upgrade, but not a brand new drone, quote unquote.
And that would be interesting to see something like that. I mean, I'll totally, you know, if they're silent props, I will take the props, because I noticed like the Mavic Air, for me at least, I think it's a loud drone.
Yeah, I think to me that was
it's loud.
The two things for the Mavic Air for me in my time that I had for that, one was how loud it was. The other thing was that SD card, trying to get that out. You got to have a pair of tweezers.
Gosh. So it's not just you.
No. You got to have a pair of tweezers to get that out.
Yeah, and I mean, I get you can leave it in there and just leave your drone on and transfer it over, but when you're pulling over 4K files at like 2-3 gigs, the transfer rate from the drone itself is
it's anemic. Yeah, it's you'll burn a whole night just doing that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but I think it'll be interesting to see. I suspect Evo hit in pre-orders at the end of April, beginning of May. I said that when it first came out at CES. I didn't, you know, from what I've seen at IWCE and just guessing at production times and sort of like the vibe I got from the guys there, I'm thinking like May, and they're totally okay with that. You know, hey,
yeah, I agree.
They're okay with that. I mean,
I agree.
They're focused on software, making sure that they have a different procedure and place. You know, it's one of those things that people are going to have to take a look at. Yeah, you can go with the DJI, but there's things that Autel's not going to force you into software updates. They're not tracking your drone. They have no idea where you are or what's happening unless if you submit them a flight log or an issue. And then of course they're here based out of the States. So it's one of those things that, you know, you enjoy Autel, you know who they are, you want that drone, or you're going to wait something else. And that's, you know, to Rick's point, he talked about that 1-inch sensor. I don't think anybody understands, like, Sony requires a specific commitment to purchase these 1-inch sensors. They're like, there's a lot of them, and you have to have a certain order amount. And obviously a 1-inch sensor is going to raise the cost. And while they're not competing with DJI, they know that nobody really knows who they are right now. They've sort of faded a bit. They lost traction, I think.
Yeah, I do too.
And, you know, they would sit on these, and, you know, you'd go from a $999 price point, because there's a lot of tech in this drone. There's a $999 price point, which, you know, people are thinking that's high. People think $999 is a lot to pay for, you know, an unknown or an uncertainty. And I can agree with that. But imagine if it had a 1-inch sensor.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd just be way out there.
Yeah. You know, the whole thing, I think, and I agree about the 1-inch sensor. I kind of think it's overblown. You know, most of us are what I call, you know, cross the line between amateur to professionals in terms of, you know, videography, photography skills. And in order to really appreciate a 1-inch sensor, it's going to take somebody who, I don't know if you've ever seen him, Bill Nichols. He has a channel.
I may have stumbled across it. You know, a lot of times I just go through like these holes where I just hit channel after channel. I just, you know.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy. He hasn't been on for a while, but he's a professional. And some of the footage that he does is just insane. That's more geared. A 1-inch to me is more geared toward a professional, you know,
but
than somebody like us.
Bigger is better. People think.
Yeah,
you know?
that's exactly, and that's the whole thing. And I think Rick's into that kind of viewpoint as well, which, you know, and he puts some good thought behind it. When he does his videos, you know, he puts some thought behind it. But, you know, I'm like you, I disagree with that. You know, I think what Autel needs to do is just, you know, focus on what they can do and do it well.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, when I look at the 1-inch sensor, I really never gave it much thought. You know, when you fly a drone and I take photos with the Phantom 4 Pro, and then I stack it up against, let's say, the Mavic Air, the difference, I mean, to the consumerist, to not the pro consumer, but the hobbyist, the person that wants to take this, upload it to social media, the difference is negligible at best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think people would probably prefer the more saturated photos of the Mavic versus the more subdued photos of the Pro. Same thing goes with the Autel. You know, just looking at some of the test footage that they shot with the Evo, it's got a Sony Exmor sensor. It's an interesting sensor because if you look how big the gimbal is, the camera's got a lot of tech behind it. So it's got the latest and greatest Umbrella processor. So that's something that, you know, not many people consider. We should get some really good dynamic range, and a lot of the distortion should be gone as well. It also has a little bit wider lens, so that crop factor shouldn't be as apparent with that, even though it is fixed 2.8. I honestly, for me, I rather have a non-fixed aperture on a drone so I control that light. I was flying yesterday, and I was like, man, I wish I had ND filters for the Air, because it's just, you get highlights blown out, you can't get the blur. It's you know, those things add up. And
Oh yeah. Well, you know, and I don't know if I mentioned this or not. You know, I was out poking around, like I told you, on the FCC website. There's nothing on the Mavic Pro 2 out there unless they have it under some other name. Yeah. I mean, there's absolutely nothing.
They're probably going to keep something like that quiet. Obviously, you have this Autel that's going to come out, and, you know, let me address that first. First of all, I saw something about Fanboy. I'm sorry. The comments blend, guys. I'm sorry. Like, when they go so fast. So nobody is a fanboy of anything. I just appreciate a quality product. I'll buy whatever is going to give me the absolute best support. I've used Autel. I bought Autel. I've had great experiences with them, but I've had a great experience with DJI support as well. It just all depends on the situation. Obviously, your experience is going to depend on whether you get the outcome you want.
Right.
Now, DJI didn't replace my drone after it crashed in a lake. I'd probably have a different outlook. And that's just human nature. You're going to honestly get pissed if things don't go your way. But with Autel, I've always had a good, like, warm vibe with them. And obviously, I've talked to real people. With DJI, I haven't, but DJI does make some fantastic products. I just don't like to see the market saturated by one brand and one brand only, because then they can say, we're going to charge this and you're going to like it. It's like, I compare it, and this is probably a bad comparison, but here in Florida, we have Seminole casinos. And if you
Yeah.
go into a Seminole casino and you gamble, you're going to pay top dollar because there is no other casinos around. You go to Vegas, you can play the same game and probably play for $5 a hand. So if that's a comparison or an analogy you can understand, that's it.
You know, it's like back in the day with Bell Telephone. I go way back, but you know, and then they had to break up Bell Telephone because it was such a big monopoly here. You know, and they were it. I mean, that was it. There was nobody else. And it's kind of the same thing here. I saw a stat today from I don't know if you heard of Sally French. She's the drone girl.
Yeah, she's got a blog, right?
Yeah, she's got a blog. DJI in 2016 had 50% of the drone market. You know what it was in 2017? 72% of the drone market. I mean, seriously, that is just those numbers are staggering. I mean, it just blew me away when I saw that.
That's absolutely nuts when you put that in, like, you know, retrospect. That's
Yeah.
She's got a great blog.
Oh, she does.
She's got a great blog. I mean, you know, and it's a lot of it's tough too, because people, I think, you know, they're like, oh, you're getting this drone, you're getting this drone. A lot of what I get, especially when you're talking about from the big brands, like I see channels do reviews on drones almost every other day, and they're all this gear best and stuff. And that's great if that's your niche and they're sending you these products. But the top tier brands like DJI and Unique and whatnot, they don't just send it out to anybody. Obviously, you have your upper 1% of YouTube. They're going to get free stuff. And then it trickles down after that. And, you know, maybe they give guys like us a discount, and you get a real perspective from somebody. I think you get a better perspective when somebody spends money on the product they're reviewing than it is if you get it for free. You're not swayed by any way.
Well, see, you know, I bought my Mavic Pro off of Florida Drone Supply. They're out of Fort Myers. And I got to know them. Janelle is her name. Fantastic. Literally, I called Friday night to do the order. Got it in before 6. It was on my doorstep Saturday morning at 9 o'clock.
Really? How are their prices?
Their prices, I mean, their retail prices are great, but where they excel is their shipping, especially in the state of Florida. I mean, they don't gouge you for shipping, which was fantastic. And she approached me about the Mavic Air and said, Bill, when I get a Mavic Air, and would you like one for a couple of weeks? I was like, I said yes so fast you didn't hear me. Okay.
Yeah, you know, and there's another site I'm hoping to work with them soon. It's DroneWorks. I'm going to be in contact with them. Hopefully, we can get something going with them. They're out of state. I'm not sure how their shipping is, but them in Carolina Drones. You know, if there's anybody out there like that, you guys want to work with us, you want to be featured on the show, let us know. Tonight, I want to thank our sponsor, Red Vines. The candy that is deliciously special for moments and even sweeter for generations, always fat-free, made without preservatives. The Red Vines, the brand that delivers exceptional quality.
Absolutely.
So they're actually, they reached out to me on Twitter, and they are sending me a year's supply of Red Vines.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what? I can't wait. I don't, you know, they're fat-free, but that, you know, that starts adding up. So. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what comes out. But I think you're right. NAB is probably going to deliver something. A brand that I would love to see surprise us is Unique. That's who I would love to see.
They've been very, very quiet lately. I mean,
they have
very
suspiciously quiet.
Well, I don't know if you know the somebody, when I had an online session earlier today, they dropped the price of the Breeze down to $149.
I remember paying $3.99 for that. I'm almost insulted.
Yeah, I saw that today. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
You know, it was funny. I had the Breeze for a little bit, and I remember I was filming in 4K, and the only way to really get files off of it is either transfer it to your smartphone or connect it to a computer. And I decided I'll transfer a 4K file to my phone, and something happens mid-flight or mid-transfer, I should say, and it corrupts the file. And the only thing I could do is send it into Unique. But that was another good experience. They fixed it right away, and they got it back. Hey, if you just want to take photos with a drone and you just want to get a nice little aerial shot, the Unique will take amazing photos. But for anything more than 1080p, forget it.
Yeah.
But in comparison to the Tello, which is $99, and then the Breeze, which is $149, I would probably take the Breeze if I wanted to, like, a little bit of a portable drone that I can take a quick pull-out shot on.
You know, I was watching. I'm friends with two of the people who first gave me comments on my channel.
Okay.
Rick, excuse me, Kelly from Ready Set Drone, and I don't know, Donnie, Big Flyer 77.
I'm not familiar with him. Ready Set Drone. He subscribed last week, and it's funny. I've watched his videos numerous times, and I thought his work was like amazing. And I'm like, to see that's always like a cool feeling when like, somebody you watch and you look, look up to, but you like their content that much and then they comment on you. So that's a cool thing. That's a neat thing with the community.
One of the things that I like about Kelly is he involves his son in a lot of his videos. I don't know if
I saw that. I did.
I think that's fantastic. And I commented on that. And he was the first one out there when Ken Heron had his accident. He started his GoFundMe. Just jumped right on board with that, which I thought was fantastic. But Kelly was the first one of the first ones to comment on my channel. And he said, you know what he said, Ken? He goes to me, he says, Bill, he says, I hope to learn from you. I was like, okay, wow. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that is. And I like his style because there's nothing pretentious about him. He doesn't do things for views. He does it because he genuinely loves whatever he's reviewing, whether it's a Spark or whether it's he's doing an RC car or one of those a Hope Sand drone, one of those. He really loves what he does. I mean, you can see it.
And that's the thing, when a creator appreciates what they do and they do it because they have a good time doing it, that's when you're going to get great, like, I don't know, like good content. Everybody has their own style with what they do. Like, I have my way of going about things. You have your way. Billy has his way of doing things. And Ken, he's just a comedian,
Oh, yeah.
Which I mean, it's hysterical watching the show. But I mean, everybody has their own style. And that's what I find interesting. There's always going to be something that's going to appease somebody. If you don't like this channel, and there's hundreds, and there's so many more that I haven't even found yet. So
see, and one of the things that I'm not shy about doing, and I did it, I just recently did like a 1-year anniversary with a Mavic Pro video. And one of the things I did was I called out Billy Kyle and Ed Ricker. Ed Ricker put out a video. I think he has almost 2 million hits on it. And it's regarding the Mavic Pro getting started with it. He has over 2 million hits.
wow.
And Billy Kyle's, the one that he did on, I'll call it the modes, and he has like over 400,000 hits on it. Those were 2 videos, and Billy actually acknowledged that and thanked me for that. I didn't hear back from Ed, but when we're in a community like this, we support each other.
Right. Exactly. And that's the big thing is supporting.
And unfortunately, I wish Droning On would just, move on and say, we're all part of this. I mean, he has a great channel, reviewing the racer drones. I mean, I've looked at it. There's some good quality out there.
There's good quality. I mean, if you I would love to have him on the show and just understand his point of view. I would love to, talk. I know he's overseas. So,
right, he's in the UK.
Hey, if you're out there droning on and you would love to come on and chat, I would love to chat with you and understand your perspective, because obviously when we're dealing with things online, I can only sense one tone when it's in a text. Obviously, unless you use all caps, then I know you're yelling at me. But any other ways, let us know. Come on the show, chat it up. I would love to hear, what you think. We got a question here. From Nick Hay. He says, I have a technical question. When I first got the Mavic Pro, pics and vids would save to my phone. Now I can't, for the life of me, get pics to save to my phone, only videos. Anyone else have this problem? So Nick, my question would be, are you automatically saving these? Because sometimes when you take photos and whatnot with the drones, they will cache to the application. And when that cache is full, they'll no longer do that. So depending on what app you have, I would probably check your cache. Now, if you're transferring them directly from your drone to your phone, then there may be a different issue happening. Bill, you ever see that?
Yeah, I did. It was real interesting because I had that problem recently. I forgot to clear it out, and I'm going like, oh crap. Now I wondered why it wasn't saving it, and I looked and I was like, oh my gosh. One of the things that I got to tell you, this is pretty funny, but it's actually I want to raise a point. Last year for Easter, my wife's family came over, and she has a pretty big family. She has 6 siblings, and they all came in our house. I mean, we have a pretty decent sized house, but it was still pretty wall to wall. But they love to go hang outside. And I don't know if you've seen, I have a lake in our backyard. I don't know if you've seen that.
I saw the video that you did.
Well, I said, everybody says, why don't you fly your drone for us? I said, okay, so everybody's asking me 1,000 questions as I get it started, as I, why are you twirling the drone around? Why you have to calibrate the compass? I mean, it was like on and on and on. So I'm flying it across the lake, and I said, it's kind of windy. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back. And I really wasn't paying attention. And instead of, I said, I'm just going to hit return to home.
Oh man.
Guess what I did? I hit the auto land, and it was about 10 feet from hitting the water.
I had an instance, I was flying one day, and I took off right from, there was a fair, and it was like around dusk, I guess. And there was a fair off in the distance, and I wanted to fly over and get like a long exposure shot of the fair. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. So I take off, and I literally, as soon as drone fired up, I didn't even pay attention that it didn't set a home point and that it was still on ready vision go. So I took off, and then the drone, I kid you not, it just started taking off on me. And at this point, I'm like, oh, it's gone. I'm losing this thing. And I'm already like reasoning with myself that I'm going to lose this. This is a lot of money. It's going away. I'm never going to see it again. So I flip it over into Addy mode, and I'm like bringing it back, and I get it landed. I'm like, all right, well, let's wait. Let's let it calibrate. Let's see if it gets its home point. We'll try it again. I finally got it, but that was scary. That was super scary.
And the point that I wanted to make was distracted flying.
Oh yeah.
And I got to say this. I've done some shots from the front of my house and from the back. And I'd much rather do it from the back, because I've had neighborhood kids come up to me, and like 3- and 4-year-old kids. Ooh, looky at that. And I'm like, oh dear God in heaven. So, I'm pretty much, unless it's early in the morning, I'm going to go to the back and do it, because, to me, that's just
an audience,
Yeah. I don't need that audience. And one of the things they talked about at that symposium, FAA UAS symposium last week, was wearing vests when you're out flying, with the green on it. I mean, and I looked at them first on eBay, and I'm just like, oh God, it's kind of like a little on the tacky side,
I don't know if I would wear a vest, because my position, my position doesn't matter. I mean, the drone's position matters. Not like, I don't see like, what does it matter if I'm wearing a vest? I don't know. I don't look good in green though.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Hey, eDrone, we don't have a release date on the Evo. They've been very tight-lipped about that. But, if I had to suspect, considering how many shows they've done and things are starting to quiet down, and like Bill said, NAB is coming up. So they're probably going to do their last appearance of the Evo then. And then I would say towards the end of April would probably be a safe bet. That would give them enough time to ramp up production. That would also give them enough time to get it out to the pre-orders. So like the Carolina Drones people and anywhere that they've accepted pre-orders, those are going first. That's what they did tell me, is pre-orders are going to be shipped first, and then they will start rolling out internationally. So.
Yeah, well, I also know I had somebody quiz me from, I guess, B&H Photo out of New York City. They were doing pre-orders too.
Yeah, I did. I saw B&H. B&H is pretty good. They jump on it pretty quickly. I like B&H because, they don't, if you're outside of New York, you're not paying tax.
Yeah. I like that
hugely.
Oh yeah, that really does. Well, what kind of surprised me was, before I moved down to Florida in 2011, I lived in Columbus, Ohio for 30 years.
Okay.
And, I went up to look, being the curious person that I am, to see, are there any, Facebook groups or, anything going on there? There are not a lot of stuff up there, which really kind of surprises me, because, right where, Columbus is in central Ohio and everything, especially during the fall, there's just some unbelievably gorgeous scenery up there, and perfect for taking a drone up. And kind of surprises me that I don't see a lot of interest. Now, I joined one of the groups, and there's only like about 50 people, but it's like for the state of Ohio, and I'm like, where is everybody? I mean, it's. But then again, I'm friends with several Drone Wolf Media. He lives on the border of Idaho and Wyoming. I'm friends with a guy up in Manitoba.
Okay.
And he takes his up in the snow all the time. So where are these guys? Like up north, like up in Ohio, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's weird. I know, like even like in like Long Island, New York, it's a little bit harder because it's more restrictive where you can fly.
Yeah.
I mean, down here, Florida, like if you're going to own it, this is probably one of the best places to own a drone. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh,
weather's great, scenery's beautiful. I think the problem is everybody thinks their own scenery is boring. Like I always get bored where I fly, and then like somebody else be like, "Oh, that's gorgeous." Okay, so what do I think is going to come out first? Probably the Evo, because we've seen the Evo. We don't even know if the Mavic 2 exists. I didn't want to speculate or go down that road anymore with the Mavic 2. That wound is still fresh, but I would probably say the Evo right now has the best chance of coming out first. Now, that doesn't mean that DJI could just be holding it like tight-lipped and they just say, okay, here you go, press a button, and then all of a sudden we see an event come out. But it just, everything's pointed out to that probably not. And I think what everybody's got to get accustomed to as well is we're not going to see a drone like every quarter, every other quarter. Doesn't that get old? Don't you just want to fly your drone instead of worrying about like what comes next? I think that gets boring, worrying about what comes next. Just get out there, fly that drone and create. I mean, that's way more exciting.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing that I when I was on my chat earlier was, everybody's asking me about the Phantom 5, and I'm still saying that's probably going to be like late third quarter, fourth quarter.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
It's hard to say what they would release first. Do you release a Phantom 5 or do you release a Mavic 2 first? I mean, we saw the Platinum rendition come out, but then they had an Obsidian release. I mean, I just hate how they nickel and dime it. Like they release a drone and then they release just a little bit better of a drone, and it's like you're sitting there. If you just bought what they released first, you're like, what the heck? What the heck? I mean, nobody else does that, really. Not even phone companies, really.
Well, here's something that I've discussed with my wife. Now, I get a bonus in November, so I know where my bonus is going to be going this year. But
there you go.
I mean, I'm probably going to get both the Mavic Pro 2 and the Phantom. But to me, a lot of these people max out their credit cards. It's like every time one of these drones come out, they're getting a drone.
But are they really, like, are you specifically talking about people who are on YouTube or just normal?
Well, I mean, I've seen some people on YouTube, that just, I don't know what their financial situation is, Ken, but for me, I got bills to pay, and
right. Exactly.
Seriously, I got a mortgage, I got car payment, it's like I've had a lot of dental work done lately. I mean, I
will sell a drone to buy a drone. Like if it came down to it, I would sell my Phantom 4. I would lose substantially, but I would definitely. Yeah, you're right, Bill. See, my problem, I have too many. I know too many bills now. Got 3 bills in the loop here. Yeah, that is a drone therapy issue. I have Amazon issues. Where is Amazon.com therapy? That's what I need.
Same here.
They made it too convenient. You know what it is? I'll start browsing and then I'll see like some little thing and I'm like, I don't need this, but it's just so easy just to swipe right, click the order.
Well, see, what's bad for us here in Florida is, there's a distribution center over in Lakeland and there's one down in
well, you got one in Riverview, Ruskin.
Yeah, in Ruskin. So I mean, I'm like,
how often do you order something from Amazon and it comes from the distribution in Ruskin?
From Ruskin, not much. I've actually got
it's hilarious.
What's really funny is I'll get stuff from the one over in Lakeland.
See, I would get stuff from Ruskin, but when I ordered my X-Star the one time, it came from Lakeland, and it literally still took 2 days. I'm like, I wish they had an option where you can go to the warehouse and pick it up. That would be cool, but they don't.
Well, one of the things is, and I don't know if you saw that clip on NBC News about, it was around Christmas time, about theft delivery, and this lady on a golf cart.
Oh, yeah.
That was in our neighborhood. that happened in our neighborhood.
That's sick. Yeah, the porch pirates.
Yeah.
I put Ring cameras up when I moved here. I put Ring up, and knock on wood, the worst thing I ever had happen was on Halloween. I caught some kids talking about stealing my candy bowl. I scared the heck out of them, though. I was listening. I waited. I was like, go ahead, steal it. I'm going to come out here running after you. I want my candy bowl. So that was about the worst thing. But I tell you, they see Ring or a camera up, and they don't mess with it now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Nick had a question. He said, what are the best conditions that you need to take long exposure shots with the Mavic Air? Well, if you're going to take long exposure shots with the Mavic Air, I would totally recommend having some form of ND filter, because with the long exposure shot, you're going to set that shutter speed really low, and the ISO can only go to 100. So that's not going to be enough to compensate for the exposure. So you need like a really good ND filter. Polar Pro has some solid ND filters, and I don't have links to them, but if you head over to either Billy's channel, I know he did some reviews on the Polar Pro ND filters, and I think even Bill, ND4, ND816. I don't know if 8 and 16 is going to be enough. I even struggle with the Phantom 4 Pro with ND32, and that's because at an aperture of 2.8, it like I have to raise the aperture up to at least, you know, like, I don't know, 4.0 to like reduce some of the light. You got fixed aperture on the Air, so it's going to be a lot harder. So the most extreme, I would say the most extreme ND filter that you can if you're shooting in daylight. 64, exactly, Rick, exactly. That would be the best that you can do. Now, if you're doing something like, you know, golden hour, maybe a 32 you can get away with, or a 16, like first thing in the morning, it'd be okay. Long exposure is hard with the drone without an ND filter. It really is. Yeah, and it's sad because like that kit they sell only comes with a polarizer. Like the base kit comes with a polarizer, an 8 and a 16. I mean, it's enough to get you started. It'll get you better shots. But like if you really want to get technical about it, you need more. You get any ND filters for your Pro, Bill?
No, I did not. I was getting ready to get some, and then I got caught up in a spark frenzy. And had the spark for a while. One of the things that to me, you know, when I was trying the hand gestures with the spark, and I'll tell you what, the learning curve for that was just off the wall.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was for me. I mean, but I compared it to the Mavic Air.
Okay.
And it was like as smooth as glass. My wife was out there with me. She's like, "Wow, it's working like right out of the box." Whereas with the Spark, I mean, it took forever for me to get it to work. And
I haven't messed with the hand gestures at all. I was a little bit afraid to really play with them. It's not something that really like appeased me, like to wave.
Yeah, you know, I was doing it for a video, but I also wanted to see if it worked. But and the thing that really kind of got me was how easy it was with the Air. I mean, it followed my hand. It went down when my hand went down. It went up when my hand went up. I mean, you know, and I was like forcing myself. And I watched Billy's video, like, I don't know how many times about with a Spark to try to get it to do it. And I was trying to do the right gestures with my hand, and it just was not going. I mean, it was crazy, absolutely crazy.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't really played with it. I think the sensors though are better on the Mavic Air, like all the way around. It's just crazy good. And I love that the ability that it can avoid an obstacle, not just stop itself. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I did a test with the garbage can setup, and that was amazing. I was flying at full speed, boom, went around it. You know, it would either go around it or up and above. And I had 2 garbage cans set up, boom, 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 went right around them like that. That just blew me away.
Bill, what are you talking about? You're talking about the freewheel ND filters for the Spark? Sorry, comments, Bill.
No.
You know, I don't like the free wheels. I think they're too heavy. I'm using the Polar Pros on mine, and I think those are good. Obviously, they're more, but I think they're nice. I don't have a problem with them. They seem light. They connect easy. I haven't had an issue with them. I looked at the free wheels, but I heard a couple of people, like in the reviews, say that their gimbal wouldn't calibrate correctly with the free wheel. I don't know how true that is. I never used them personally, but that could be an issue. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So I actually got somebody in here, Cardasso. You got to check out his Instagram. He did a video the other day with the Spark. A great video, beautiful color grading. just exceptional. And I actually had to go back and I asked him, I said, what did you shoot this on? We're using the Air, the Pro? And he's like, no, the Spark. I was just like,
whoa.
I was like, what? I was, it's just really good footage. And, it's the perfect like Instagram drone. I think the Spark is the perfect Instagram drone. If you want to put footage out there on Instagram or whatever, that is the perfect area or drone to do it on. Might be true. Billy said that. It's interesting. In the comments, they go,
yeah.
So anyways, guys, it's 9 o'clock. I just wanted to do this for about an hour. But if you guys like doing this on Mondays, we'll continue doing it on Mondays. I tried it on a Sunday. Sunday doesn't really like work ideally for me. I like doing a Monday show because Sundays I'm usually gone. But if you guys like us to do this on Mondays, and if you like Bill, we'll definitely have Bill back again because I like his insight. I like his content and his opinions. So if you want to do this again, let us know, comment down below, share the show. If there's somebody else you want to see, tweet this at them, get their attention. We'll get them on the show, we'll do an interview and ask the questions that you want to know. But other than that, Bill, hope you have a good night, man.
Hey, you too. Thanks so much for having me on. It was a total blast. And like I said, sometime we need to get together and do some flying.
Absolutely, man. I'll be chatting with you very soon.
Absolutely. Sounds good, my friend.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right. Take care.
See ya.